Welcome everybody to the channel. So in today's video, I want to talk about the invalidation rule as it pertains to the two-step process. So two-step model, should I say? All right. So we have, this is the two-step model. These are the steps in the actual model itself. So there are 5 steps that I use. First, I find the range, which is your A to B leg. Then the second step is just look for the retracement. I'm going to stop here because I have other videos that actually go in depth into this, but the invalidation rule lives in this particular step. I'll use an example. Okay, so on my left, I'm going to change this and add gold. I've got silver at the moment. I'm just going to change it to gold, and I'm going to go to the daily. All right. Okay. I'm going to hide the fibs. I'm just going to bring this up back again. Just give me 1 second. Ignore this dashboard. This is just my testing on the IB that I'm trying to build. Okay, so I'll put this on the right hand side. Right. Okay, so if you've seen my other videos, you know I have a crazy target. I'm very bearish on the higher time frames, but at some point, if I'm wrong, I'm not saying I'm always right, but if I'm wrong, where do I invalidate my whole idea? The first thing I want to say about the two-step model, which is the model I use for any security, gold, NQ, doesn't matter what it is. I just trade on different time frames. So I'm more positional when it comes to gold and more session-based when it comes to NQ. So the two-step itself, the model, it doesn't is agnostic when it comes to a bias. It doesn't really care about whether I am bearish or whether I am bullish, right? That's not what the model is doing. All the model is doing is saying this is a direction, and therefore these are the steps that you take. And that's why step one is very important. The A to B leg. So in this example, this is your A leg, this is the point A, and this is the point B. That's the way I am classifying it. But what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? What if that's not the A to B leg? What if that's what if that's the C to D leg? Well, the only way I know that's wrong, there are 2 ways. But the main way is the invalidation rule. I just say invalidation rule. It's not a rule, but it's think of it as a condition. I'm going to put the fibs back on. Let me delete this one because it might just be in the way. All right. So I have this price. So this is live. This is right now. This is 11:36 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday. So this is where we are now. We are inside what I refer to as the kill box. This is between the 50 and the 70 fib. My idea of a short to the 3,500 level will be invalidated if price on the daily time frame closes above that 70 level. Price tends to like to gravitate towards the 50 or the 70. Very rarely does it stick in between. It usually stays around the 50 and then it'll reverse or it'll usually go and head to the 50. So I always say, always be prepared for price to go to the 50 and to the 70. Don't always assume price will just turn in the middle. It will try and get to the 70. But if you have a bearish bias in this example, then price cannot close above the 70. That kills the bias completely. It doesn't matter if it's a small close, as long as it closes above the 70, it kills that idea. Yes, I'm aware that price can reverse immediately. But for the model, that 70 is your kill switch. It's gone. It can wick above it, but cannot close above it. So that's the first invalidation. The second invalidation is where price goes in your favor. Price goes in your favor. This is the um, C to D leg. And let's say price comes all the way down to this point, but it doesn't really go further. Usually it terminates at the 121 fib or 144 fib, and then it starts to reverse back in. That's what I call a complex two-step. In that case, you can just take your profits and just assume that, okay, you're just going to start again. Review the trade again. Complex two steps are, I see them as inducements, right? So it usually happens when the B to C leg doesn't really dig into the kill box. So those are the two ways in terms of invalidating a trade. The first one is the critical one. The second one is more related to inducements. It's a bit more complex to explain because inducements can happen in different ways. But I see it as just a complex two-step. So that's the invalidation rule. Now on the right-hand side, I'm going to put this back to silver. Today, so let's go back to the 1 hour. So this is a lower time frame. This is not the daily. We have what looks like a two-step. Now this for me doesn't meet the criteria for a two-step. And this is where inducement comes in. So yes, I am high level, higher time frame bearish, but I understand that price is inside my kill box. So it can still extend higher, The two-step doesn't care which direction I want to go in. So we have potential two-step here. I say potential because I wouldn't take it for one reason. In step 4 of the two-step model, we have to do certain checks. Now, I recommend 2. You can do more than 2. So you do SMT checks and then you do fair value gap checks. But you can also do, my secret sauce is volume checks. I now actually have another secret sauce, which I'll quickly talk about, which is called the IB. But and that's what I'm working on the right-hand side. I've been doing this for over a year, so it's driving me nuts. But anyway, so will I take this as a two-step? Let's put the fib on gold on the right-hand side. So both 1 hour. And I will put it from here actually. And I'll change this. So it looks the same. Now, one of the things I say is when you're looking at potential two steps, because you can have good two steps and you can have bad two steps. And you can have inducements. And you can separate bad inducements from bad two steps, but let's just group them into one. Now you have this low and this high, which makes your range 1, your A to B leg. And then what we are looking for is a retracement into the kill box. So we've done that on gold, but we haven't done that on silver. Now, every other check is fine. SMT is there, fair value gaps there, every other thing is good, is great, fine. In fact, I can do a very basic volume check right now. Just take the low here, I'll run it to the high here. Okay, that's okay. Right, I can do very basic volume checks. But the problem I have with this is that the security on the left, which is silver, hasn't even reached the 50%. And because of that, I will see this more as an inducement rather than a two-step. So in this video, I'm trying to clear up 2 issues. One is the invalidation rule, which basically says, if I believe this is an AB leg, so if I think this is an AB leg, then when do I invalidate the trade? When it goes below the 70%. But I also said there's another way you can invalidate the trade, and that is if your C to D leg doesn't reach your intended target. Usually it terminates around 127 or kind of the 144. That's another way. So you can see how gold has gone past this level but hasn't really extended. Silver has, and gold may just terminate at the 127. What I mean is if I take this fib away, I run the fib from this low to this low, and instead I look at a termination. Let's make that bigger. You can see how we've hit that 115 and we could hit the 127. That's usually where it terminates. If that happens, and then on the lower time frame you see a reversal, it's more likely again an inducement, right? It's just induced you to go long, but it actually wants to go short. So those are the two issues I want to cover in the video, the inducement part and the invalidation rule. But overall, personally, I'm still, like I said, bearish. And if we now go to the daily, so let's take this away, gold, and let's go to daily. So I don't know if you can see this box. Now, this is what I've been working on. It's called the IB initiation block. And I've been doing this it's a personal project. It's a hobby. I've been doing this, coding this for over a year. And it was initially designed to find high quality two steps. That was the idea. That failed and started to change. I changed the recipe and started to play around with it. In the end, what I ended up with is something that does something a bit strange, which I found it really fascinating. And that is, I started to realize that it started to highlight these areas that I refer to as equilibrium or a balance point or the 0 point. It's basically a level where buyers and sellers are kind of in a battle. So below the equilibrium, in this case, on the daily here, you've got aggressive buyers, and above the equilibrium, you've got aggressive sellers. And what we're waiting for is someone to take charge, right? I think of the IB as the calm before the storm, because you want to be involved in the calm, not in the storm, right? Once it breaks, it's kind of too late, right? Um, so the IB at the moment is it's fascinating. I'm still testing, still checking, still using live data to see where we go from here. So I'll keep you updated. But if you have any use cases by just understanding where equilibrium is, fair value is, and how you can take advantage of it, let me know. So for example, I've seen things like um, finding IFVGs that work, finding breakers that work, uh, just finding that when I look for my point C in my two-step, I always want an IB to exist in that point C, because it shows me that there's a battle and indecision in that particular area. So the IB is created live, it's instant. There's no, it's not looking at backdated data. It's not trying to redraw things. It will show you as soon as the candle closes. It will show you. And what I've realized is after the IB is created, sometimes you get consolidation immediately after it. So it can actually, one use case of it is almost predict where consolidation will happen, right? So you can imagine what you can do with that information. In any case, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like the video. And if you want to see more about the two-step and maybe more about the IB, because I don't know where that's going, please subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.